Welcome to the Man Cave Podcast with Dan Casper.
All right, we begin this hour. Local Sports Roundup brought to you by Carpet City Flooring Center. Now, I know, Brandon, a little bit earlier, you're kind of talking about it, and, really kind of kicks into gear next week, right after the holiday break and such. So that's when it really kicks in.
Right. There were teams in action this week, more so, I would say, Monday, Tuesday, mostly. Some holiday tourneys around the area. I know McDonald hosted the Denny Laramie Holiday Classic, and so they had boys and girls basketball games Monday and Tuesday. A lot of other places did too. Chippewa Falls had a couple girls basketball games and a boys basketball game on Monday, that kind of stuff. I mean, there were teams that were playing around the area, but really, for the most part, they're all non-conference. The only I'm trying to think. The conference game I can think of that popped off the top of my head would have been Tuesday night with Eau Claire Regis boys basketball picking up a big win over Stanley Boyd. That was a game I was at, 75-57. Really impressive effort by the Ramblers. I mean, they utilized some pretty stifling defense, some pressure defense to kind of grab an early lead and keep it on the battle of two really good teams that are going to probably be two of those prime contenders, in the Western Clover Belt, in the regular season and in their respective divisions in the postseason. So, they'll meet again, obviously later on in the season. But, now that we're kind of getting to the new year, or we're in the new year, you can get, in some of these conferences, you're kind of seeing some contenders emerge. I mean, you can look in like the Big Rivers and, really, you've only got a couple conference games in the book. So, on the boys' end, you really can't, but, it's still pretty wide open. On the girls' side, you're kind of maybe starting to see that a little bit more where, you've got, in the Big Rivers and girls basketball, you got Memorial, Rice Lake, and Hudson all 3-0. So, they're going to start obviously seeing each other here in the coming weeks. I'm sure that pecking order will kind of get a little bit more fleshed out. Eau Claire Memorial coming off the really strong last year. They're 6-2 this year. I mean, I have to imagine that that first Memorial Rice Lake game is going to probably have a lot of buzz to it, given the caliber of those teams. And certainly, Hudson's 8-2, so they're as always going to be in that mix too on the girls' end of things.
Look at those point differentials for those top three teams too.
Yeah,
23.9, 21, 20.3.
They're winning by. I mean, they're not just winning; they're winning, pretty comfortably. I know Memorial. There's some contenders back from from that team that came with an eye last year, reached state a year ago.
Yeah. Yep. So that's girls basketball. You mentioned a little bit with boys basketball too. I mean, hockey and such.
Yeah. I mean, the big, as far as the Big Rivers goes on the boys' end of the thing, kind of same last time we talked. Hudson up top. Eau Claire Memorial 3-1. Hudson's already got one win in hand over Memorial, but New Richmond, who has been a prime contender, they're 2-1. Then you get a bunch of teams at 1-2, and then Rice Lake at 0-3. So, but yeah, once we hit the new year, I mean, there's not very many conference games now, but once we get a week or two down the line, suddenly you're going to have 2, 3, 4 conference games in, and really those contenders emerge. So, but yeah, a lot of holiday tournaments in hockey, teams playing all around the state. Some teams playing in Green Bay, some teams playing, girls teams playing in Hayward, some teams playing down in Madison on the boys' end of things too. So, those are always a really good chance just to see different teams.
Right.
Because when you can travel and play a couple games against a team from the other side of the state, that's a lot better than trying to schedule that, at pretty much any other time during the season where you might have to travel even further and it's maybe a little bit more of a hassle.
Right. So, I know kind of, do we kick into gear with like conference wrestling a little bit more too?
There's been some,
okay,
but you'll see probably a little bit more of it as far as like the conference duels. Like I know the Big Rivers has already had a little bit of it. The Clover Belt really gets going now once we hit, really next week, I think.
Okay.
So that'll get going as well. And obviously, wrestling had some big tournaments this week with the Northern Badger, which over in River Falls. Eau Claire, I believe it was Eau Claire North, hosted an event at I believe, here in Eau Claire, earlier in this week. So, yeah, I mean, we're, wrestling, we're not that far removed already from, the wrestling postseason when you think about it.
Oh,
it's
man.
when you get that, you don't have to get that far into February before it starts. So,
man. Wow, that's kind of nuts to think about.
That's kind of the thing every year we have to kind of come to terms with once we get past the holidays. Is it's January, it's New Year. Wow, postseasons for stuff start 5-6 weeks from now.
Right. Is that cover the high school
Pretty much
portions of it.
Yeah, I
so.
would say for right now. I mean, there'll be more for next week. So
Okay. For I know for the college side of things, we'll start off with the Blue Golds. So we've got men's hockey is going to be taking on Stevens Point tonight, and then tomorrow wrestling's over out on the East Coast. We got women's hockey also in action against Bethel University. Talk about basketball. We're getting into the WIAC portion of the schedule now. Men's basketball looking to remain undefeated on the season. They're going to be visiting Stevens Point tomorrow night, where the women's team will be at the Sonnentag taking on Stevens Point. So, and then for UW Stouts, we've got gymnastics in action beginning tomorrow. Also, men's hockey is going to be taking on St. Norbert tonight. So, and then we've got it looks like a big meet over at UW Oshkosh for gymnastics and such. Men's basketball is going to be taking on UW Platteville at Menominee. Women's team is going to be taking on Platteville in Platteville, and then men's hockey taking on River Falls. Also on Sunday, speaking of River Falls, the Stagg Bowl coming up here. So we'll see if they can pick up. They're going up against Powerhouse too. I just blanked on the on the name here. They're going up against who is it again? Help me out. North Central College. They've advanced to the title game for the 6th straight season. So we'll see if River Falls' offense, right? That's kind of what they're known for, Brandon. Is the
putting up the points.
Putting up the points. In all season long here. And I know we kind of talked a little bit about on Festivus, but they're that play to secure the win was pretty sweet if you didn't get to see it for River Falls a couple weeks ago already at this point. But nonetheless, I know, I'm a Blue Gold alum. You are an Oshkosh alum. It's still cool to see a WIAC team.
It is. Especially
no offense, it's a different WIAC team than Whitewater.
Exactly.
So.
It's to see a different one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just to kind of
not
see
too far from us,
right? To see how they've built. They've built up. There are some local connections with that team. So, no, it's really it's cool. I mean, I think there is a bit of obviously regional pride. I mean, River Falls very much on the border of Wisconsin, Minnesota, but still, like you mentioned the whole WIAC connection. I think a lot of people kind of feel that way. Hey, if my team can't win, then it's it's a little bit different than you might see with I don't know, like in Division I, where I'm sure like if Michigan wasn't cheering for Ohio State in the college football playoff kind of thing. Right,
exactly. So, but it should be a fun game. I know North Central's undefeated this year. River Falls just has the one loss, 13-1, but again, that offense, they can put up the points.
And I think most importantly is they've showed they can put up points regardless of the weather.
Yeah.
They didn't exactly have ideal conditions the last few weeks of those last few games they played, and they were still able to pile up points.
Right. So that's I believe is it
Sunday?
Sunday.
I think it's Sunday evening.
Sunday evening at 7:00, right? I think it is. So yep, 7:00. And I know people are saying they should go to war. I think it's cool they're playing in Canton.
I think it's cool that they're playing in Canton. The timing is a little interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know people that would have been maybe more likely to go travel to it if they're River Falls alums. But the fact that it's a Sunday night game, like
that's true.
You really can't.
Yeah, if it would have been like tomorrow,
right?
On a Saturday night, yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, a Saturday night, or even like a late, like a 4:00 on Saturday kind of a game.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, but that. And I get some people want to go to the warmer weather for like the D3 national championship or, maybe a dome or something like that. But to play outside the Hall of Fame it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I would be all geeked up about that part.
Yeah.
So just to be there. So, all right. That's your local sports roundup brought to you by Carpet City Flooring Center.